Recording. Here we go. And I record each virtual class, and that's because if someone is unable to attend, I do upload it at the very bottom of that module week, just so that you can go back and review it if need presents itself. You may want to remember something we talked about, so that is there for you for later. Welcome to EDL 602, Roles of the Principal. I have been teaching this course now for 3 years. I kind of like it. It's like, what do you do? What do we think about being a principal? I will tell you it's the best worst job known to man. And that's just an honest statement. With most roles, it's the best thing you get to do, and it also is sometimes the worst thing you get to do. But at the same time, we're going to talk about some of the things that are important as a leader and what makes you stay successful. And if you have not, you need to purchase this book. If you've not purchased this book, everything we do in this course is going to be based off of this book. I don't want you to have to go outside of this book to Google search this article or that article, go into the William Carey database library. I don't want you to do all that. Spend your best 30 bucks, buy the book, and everything you do for the next 8 weeks, you'll be able to accomplish it. And if you notice, mine's very tabbed up because even at this point in life, I go back to this book and read different parts of it. Not just for this class, but just for life, for the work that we do. Teaching is probably the hardest job known to man. You deal with parents, you deal with children, you deal with the world. It's just one of those things, but you chose to do it, and now you're choosing to go into leadership. So I will help you on your journey. And our big focus with this book is the 6 domains of leadership. Very relevant to the work that you do now. And it'll also give you a moment to look into the work that you plan on doing. If you're already in leadership, it'll sharpen some of the tools you already have in your toolkit. I am Dr. Nicole Cockrell. I am a former William Carey student. I did get my doctoral degree with William Carey, and I love the institution and the way that this program is laid out. You will enjoy it. If you're one of the students on here that plans to go on to get your doctorate, this is the place to do it at. I did this program in 2 years. Well, yeah, it was 2 years. I did the doctoral program in 2 years, and I was done with the dissertation in 2 years. I like the way that it's laid out because it's laid out in a manner, if you put in the work, you reap your benefits at the end. It's not one of those programs, and I got my master's and specialist at Mississippi College. It's not one of those programs where you do college work first and dissertation last. It's one of those that you work along the way, you get to the end, and you're successful. Um, I will share just a little bit of information about myself. I am the principal at Mansdale Upper Elementary School in Madison, Mississippi. We were named a Blue Ribbon School last year, and we had lots and lots of celebrations around that. I have been at the school since it opened. So we opened in, oh goodness, I'm gonna mess that date line up, 2014, I believe. At that point, I was a literacy specialist, and I served in that role for 3 years before becoming the assistant principal. And then 3 years ago, I was named the principal. The former principal that opened the school, she and I are besties because when you do this work, you need a companion. You need someone to lean on that tells you your idea is stupid and your people are going to be mad. You need those people in your world. As a teacher, you naturally get those people because you're normally with a team of people. As a leader, you're typically it's either just you or you and an AP or you and an instructional specialist. So you have to form bonds outside of where you are and what you're doing. Um, I also serve as the Mississippi Association of Elementary School Administrators state representative for the National Association of Elementary School Principals. A lot of letters. I've served as the federal relations coordinator for our state. I absolutely love education and I absolutely love Mississippi. Um, I'm probably a rare jewel in that. Most people get their degrees, they want to get up out of here because we don't pay enough in Mississippi. Well, I love it because these kids are going to be the people who take care of me when I hit old age. I have three children. I have a 27-year-old son who is currently working out of Virginia. I have a 22-year-old son who still lives at home and works for AT&T as a lineman. And I have a 17-year-old daughter who is a senior in high school, cheerleader. We're looking at homecoming dresses because that's coming up, and she's made senior maid as she has made every maid every year, which keeps me very busy. I also like to share that if you send me an inbox message in Canvas, y'all, this is important. I will not see it. I'll see it when I open up Canvas. I do not have Canvas on my phone. I believe in work-life balance, and if you don't, you need to learn how to do that. If you send me an email, I will see that because emails are on my phone. Um, if I do not answer you within a 24-hour period, you don't offend me if you send me something else. Hey, I'm following up. Dr. Cocker, did you see that? I have two phones. Okay. I have my work phone at work and I have a staff of 63 people. So just imagine the number of emails and text messages I receive just for that job. And again, I have three humans that run around here and a husband and a dog as well as all of you. I'm up to 44 people now, and I have never had a class this size. So it's a lot of you to one of me. So it does not offend me if you send me something saying, hey, Dr. Cockrell, I was emailing you about week 5, assignment. And if I don't answer, I probably read it, but I'm waiting to get home to respond. And much like you, when you get home, 82 things are waiting on you and you forget the one thing you were intending to do. And I go back to where I started work-life balance. I don't do William Carey when I'm at Mansdale Upper, and I don't do Mansdale Upper when I'm doing William Carey. And I've always been that way when I worked on my different degrees. I didn't work on schoolwork when I was at school. I work on those things at home. I like to live a departmentalized life. So again, you do not hurt my feelings. Please email me again. My staff at school knows that. I'm like, if you see me in the hall and you ask me a question, I'm not going to remember by the time I get to my desk. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email so I'll remember. Busy lives means that we think we're great at multitasking when we're not. I am great at multitasking even when I'm not, I do believe. So just make sure when you're communicating with me, tell me your name will show up, but tell me your section number so I can easily get to you because the way my Canvas shell is set up, I have three different Canvas modules. So if you just send me, hey, I'm looking at I'm looking at week 5, I don't know what to do with this. Well, I need to know where you are in that. So if you're in section 81, I can go to 81 and look at your module. Most of it is set up the same because William Carey decided to go to semesters this year. Everything that I used to teach to this class has changed. So y'all, we're all on a journey together. So if you got a question, ask a question. I don't mind answering them. I do believe, like most educators, there's no such thing as a dumb question. It's just the questions you don't ask. So the day, I like to give y'all the overview of what we're doing today. Today, we're gonna look at doing a deep dive into domains 1 and 2, and we'll talk through all of what it entails. We'll do a review of our Canvas shell just so you'll know where information is and how to find it. And then we'll talk a little bit, just a little bit, about your data project that is coming up. I know my overachievers in the group. I get y'all. You need to know things ahead of time. I did not put an instructor one video up just because I knew we were meeting today. And I didn't want to confuse you in that video with the information I'm going to actually show you today. And then going forward, week 2 video will be up by Sunday. Week 3 video will be up by the Sunday before that Monday starts. That way you guys will have a glimpse into what the expectations are for each assignment. Does that sound okay? Yeah, yeah. Okay, see head nods. Normally we spend time introducing ourselves, but this is a big group, and I think it would take us an hour to introduce everybody. So if y'all don't mind, we're just gonna keep going because y'all have your orientation at 10 o'clock, and I would like to give you at least a moment to take a bathroom break before you have to jump into that one. Alrighty. Any burning questions that just need to get out before I jumpstart what we have going on today? You do have to unmute. All right, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, the first thing we're going to look at will be the Canvas module. I think it's worth us talking about that first. We're going to see if Zoom and I are on good terms. We are today. Yay. All righty. So you should be able to see my screen at this moment. Alrighty, so roles of the principal, and I just picked one of the three shells to go in, and so the middle one seemed like the right one. For those of you who have not been in school a while, this information will be of great use to you. For those of you who are just continuing on and you know Canvas, you teach out of Canvas in your building, just bear with us. Those that don't know, I'm gonna treat everybody like they don't know today. So this is your Canvas shell. When you look at it, all of your essential tools are right here on the left. When you hear me talk about inbox, this is what I'm referring to. Please don't inbox me here because the only time I see an inbox message is when I'm in Canvas. And the only time I'm typically in Canvas is when I'm uploading something, grading something. And that's not all the time. That's why I'm saying don't do that. Email me. Alrighty, these are your tools for if you're looking for the modules, any announcements, discussion, your grades. This is where you'll go for those things. So anything that's coming up due for the week or upcoming weeks are listed here. So just to remind you, tomorrow your discussion week one, getting to know the class is due, as well as your video presentation of the summary and reflection of the introduction. And I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to do that video. I learned that last trimester when people couldn't get it to upload. So I'm going to go into our module. Let's just jump in. And all of the things at the beginning of the module is just helpful information. This is just helpful information for you. All the things that if you want to go through and look at, this is the syllabus. If you want to download that, and then some helpful resources. Keep in mind, William Carey's AI policy is that you don't use AI. That's the policy. So you need to make sure that you are writing your own papers and doing your own work. If you're unsure of that policy, you need to click this link and read it in its entirety so that you understand how William Carey feels about the use of AI. Now, the full protocols for the Marzano Focus School Leader Model is here. The domains 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 are listed. All good, helpful, just little helpful tools for you. The William Carey cover page. Everyone needs to click that and download it, save it, and then that way all you have to do is go in and update the things that are listed on it. See, it will load. So if you click it here, it'll download. And now you can go here and change the title, change your name, put your name there. Put your email address, your phone number, submit it to Dr. Nicole Cockrell, EDL 602, Roles of the Principal, Fall 2025, and the date for which you're submitting the assignment. But you need this document for all of your classes here at William Carey because this is the document you have to upload with all of your assignments. All righty. This is a sample just of how you space everything on the cover page. But if you download this one, you don't have to worry about that one because you have it. Alrighty. For most people, they don't buy the APA book. I'm looking at it on my bookshelf over there. If you get to the place of writing a dissertation, you will buy it. But if not for this course, you have some APA format resources for you right there. Purdue is a great website to go to. You can kind of plug in things and they'll just shoot out a response for you. But this is a handy, just a little handy information for those of you as you're using in-text citation. And as I said before, you don't for this class need to use really the library for any of your assignments. Everything you do will come strictly from your textbook. And then here's a little handy note, pretty much what I said before. When emailing the instructor with questions about your assignments, please just make sure you give the week or module number you're referring to, the name of the particular assignment you have questions about, and be specific as to what your questions are, what your issues are. And please make sure you put your section number so I can find out, where you are in the classes. And then, guys, I'm going to say this because I get these questions every time. I have no way of helping you with IT. I have no way of helping you with that. If you have an issue with uploads or videos or things like that, you will have to reach out to the William Carey IT department. If you have an IT at your school district, reach out to them. But I have no way of helping you with those types of troubleshooting issues. I'm not your girl for IT things. I'm not. Your mentor agreement form, you're going to talk about that at links today at 10:15 with Dr. Sellers during your orientation. But just know that you are looking for, um, I'm sorry, you'll get more information from her at 10:15 when you go through orientation. It's important for you to be on that call so you'll know more about it. So you need to start thinking about who you want to use as a mentor. That's going to be important while you're going through this program. She will get deep dive into your clinical practice, all of the things that you'll need to do as you're shadowing your mentor. All that will be discussed with you during your orientation. The link to join the orientation is different from the one for this class. So you'll need to go out of this class and then click this link to go into that class at 10:15. Alrighty, now we're at the actual week one of this class. So if you're here, you're in the right place because that was the first task of this week is just clicking on and joining the class. And it tells you, please have cameras on and select a location that has limited background noise. Click the link below. You'd be surprised at how many soccer games I've gone to and I can hear them. So that's why I had to add some things. Alrighty. Moving on, and again, we remind you that there's a virtual orientation because people forget. And then right here, you need to either print out the two files below or have the data open so you can see it. And we're going to go through all those, and I'm going to project most of it up on my screen when I share it. Alrighty, so this is normally the part that people get really antsy about, and it's just talking about our SMART Goals assignment. Those of you who teach a tested subject area, this is not confusing for you. For those of you who do not teach a tested subject area, this may challenge you a little bit. But what I always like to say to every class that I've taught is if you're expected, if you are, let me go back and say that differently. If you are wanting to go into a role that is leadership, you will need to know how to analyze data. That's the job. If you're going into a role of a literacy coach or literacy specialist, curriculum director, special education director, any of those types of roles, you have to know data because that's this job that we do every day. And I also like to tell you if you are in a position where you are a music teacher or you're teaching a non-tested subject, any of those roles, you need a seat at the table where data is being discussed. That's the first thing you need to do is go to your principal and ask them, hey, is there a way for me to, like manipulate my schedule so that I can sit in a data meeting? The class that I'm in, I need to know about data. That's going to be something that's going to be critical to you and for you, because I will tell you all of the interviews you're going to go to that is leadership, that's going to be a part of it. So you want to be able to speak data, know how to analyze data, and what that entails for your school. What does it look like for your school? So, with all of that being said, your first task is going to be to collect some data. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a minute because I want to show you the data. It's just a data sample that I want to share with you. Um, I've said a lot. I know it's a lot. And if you have questions, jot them down. I promise we'll have a little time at the end so you can ask the questions that you have. Okay. Yep, see, here's when we don't get along because it won't go to the screen that I asked it to. Hold on. There we go. Alrighty, so this is just, and I'm going to say a sample of data. And if you can tell, it's been cut and tweaked a lot. For those of you who pull data, I've tweaked it and made it look a little generic. But for those of you who have a sample of data, this will be easy for you. What it is that you're going to take the standards, whatever subject area, if it's biology, algebra, if it is third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, eight, whatever it is, you're going to analyze a set of data and you're going to figure out in that data set what are two areas of weakness for your data set. Now, it may be not the lowest data, right? It may not be in the smaller digits. You may have data that is in the like this one, 43%, 37%, but that's weak in comparison to 93%, right? But now if I scroll over in this data, I'm going to get to some teens, the 18%, 12%. These would be my two areas of weakness. They're significantly lower than all the other places on my data sheet. And so then I'm going to identify this area as an area of need. And that will be the pieces of data that I will pull. These will be not pieces of data, the standards, I'm sorry. So RI 3.2 is a third grade standard in reading for information. And so these are the two that I will land on. RI 3.1, again, still informational text, which we know in third grade is hard for kids. Um, these are going to be my two areas that I'm going to identify. Now, I do want to make sure that I leave something with you. That is a sample set of data that I pulled. Yours may not look like that. It's just made to be generic. Now, yours may look just a wee bit different from what mine is looking like. Let's go back. I'm going to scroll up just a wee bit, y'all, just so I'm in the wrong week. I'm trying to get to my right week here. Ah, there we go. On the right week now. Alrighty, so when we start looking at what the expectation is for this assignment, you're going to interpret the data and translate into meaningful, measurable goals. And this is where it gets sticky because when you pull the data, you can't pull data that you can't analyze, right? And so looking at the data sets that you can, oh, I have a typo there. I'll have to fix that. So looking right here, right? Benchmark summative assessments that are valid and reliable. So if you give iReady, that's a data set. If you give NWEA map, that's a data set. If you give Mastery Connect benchmark, that's a data set. LMS, that's a data set. This would not be a 9 weeks classroom test, though. This is benchmark data, right? So this is a data collection over a period of time. So you want to make sure you're using that sort of data. Hopefully, I'm making sense. It makes sense to me, but sometimes it doesn't verbalize the way I'm wanting it to. But making sure when you pull that data, it's not for one, two, three standards. It's a set of standards so that when you're looking at it, you can analyze it and you can compare it to the other standards within that testing window. So, it is not a classroom summative assessment. That's my other little phrase I always like to say. You're going to identify the strengths and gaps in the need of improvement. And then you're going to, the first part of the assignment is what I like to call is the easiest part because all you're doing in the first part, let me go back. Okay. I want you to be able to see where's my template. Let me do this a different way because I have it already saved and I don't have to scroll, scroll, scroll. So the first thing is the actual sample template you're putting all of this on. All right, yeah, that's so much easier for me to just pull it that way. All right, hopefully you have not gotten whiplash from going back and forth, back and forth. All righty, so the first assignment is just this cute little box, right? We're putting in what test we're using. What test? What grade level are we using? What subject area are we using? What are the 2 areas of weaknesses that we've identified? So that is all for part 1. We will talk about part 2 on our second virtual call because I do not want to overwhelm you with too much information. The other thing I will also say, those weekly instructor videos, I'm going to use I'm going to share my screen so that you see everything that is expected. And that's why those weekly instructor videos are helpful because we only meet twice a semester. So that way you see exactly what the expectations are. Somebody had a hand raised. I saw that and then it went away. Where'd it go? Come, if you would just take yourself off mute and speak freely.
On my sample template, it has
Mhm.
an extra box down at the bottom that says list the 2 greatest areas of strength.
Let me go back. Hold on. Thank you for telling me that. Again, a lot has changed, and I may be working from an old document that is not foreign. Okay, let me. All right, here we go. It's just the 2 greatest areas of concern or weaknesses that need to be addressed for student and school improvement. List the 2 greatest areas of strength. Yes, that box was added. So that would be the areas. Okay, let me blow that. Let me share that with you guys so you can see it. Yes, that was added. Thank you. All righty. Give me 2 shakes to share again. Okay. Thank you. Again, we have changed this cohort. Everything in it has changed. So I'm on the ground floor with y'all. All right. Here's the thing. I really don't like all this stuff that's on this document, and that's gonna be a me thing. But I'm gonna work through it. As an educational leader, your ability to interpret data, we talked about all that. So the extra box that's been added is that you identify the greatest areas of strength. So as we looked, remember in that data set, I showed you there were areas that were at 95%. So that's just your areas of strengths. Compliment yourself. You always are going to work from a place of concerns as you analyze your data. For those of y'all that have been doing this, you know that. But you also need to know what areas are bigger areas of strengths. So after you've identified and analyzed the greatest areas of weakness, Then you're going to write a plan of implementation for improvement. And that's where your area of focus comes from. So once we get to the second part of this, these little strategies and areas of concern will go into a bigger chart. I don't want to get us too far ahead as we talk about this data project because it all comes together when you get to the second part. So I just want you to stay focused on the first part, which is this chart, okay? And identifying an area of focus. And once we get into part two, we'll start talking about all these grammatical errors. We'll get into all of this part down here where we'll work through all of this. But for part one, you're going to download this document. Okay. I need y'all to track with me. You're going to download this document. And then this part of it, I don't want to see it when you turn in this document. Did y'all see what I just did? I took it off. It's great information. Print this off. It's great information. It helps you for part two. But when I grade this, this is what I'm grading. This lovely box that's listed here. This is the only thing I'm going to look at. I need it on one page, so I shrunk it. I'm going to look at just this that's listed right here. That's what your first grade will come from. And that's all I need you guys focused on. Focus on finding an administrator you can talk to or your school test coordinator, someone who's the keeper of the data in your world, and collect some benchmark data. That's goal number one. Collect some benchmark data. Goal number two is spend some time analyzing that particular data set to identify the two greatest areas of concern and then your two greatest areas of strength. That's your task for now. Okay? I like to streamline this just because a lot of times people start stressing about this assignment, but if you take it in the pieces that are given, it's not that big of an assignment. And it used to be a group assignment, but for y'all, it's individual this year. And some of y'all like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with other people to do this assignment. And at the end, though, past cohorts have said, I have enjoyed getting to know the other people. So it's a give and take. Some people don't want to have to spend time trying to make time to meet with people. Give and take. I'm that person. I like to work alone because then I can work at 12 o'clock a.m. and no one has to be up with me. Alrighty, so we talked about the data. Is there any questions thus far? Please come off mute and ask your questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So with collecting the data with the spreadsheet, do we still have to do that or we just doing that form that you just showed us?
Great question. Yes, you do need the data.
Okay.
Um, y'all should all know about FERPA. You know, that's that law that governs children and families. Whatever data set you collect, you need to black out all the names. If you have a data set that has the class kids listed, you need to get you a lovely Sharpie and take it and go. Dr. Cochran does not need to know who's in that class, right? Now, when you turn in, thank you. I'm gonna mess your name up because I'm awful with these types of things. Takima. Hey, it's phonetically correct. I got you. I taught second grade. Phonics is my jam. Um, when you turn in your data project, you're going to turn in the cover sheet, data project, and your data. I can't check your data if you don't give it to me, right? So every time you turn in a data set, a data project, it's always going to have a cover sheet, the templates, because by the time we get to the second one, there's another template, as well as the data. Upload the data. Thank you, Takima. I almost forgot to say that. All right. Any other questions, guys? I promise you, we're in this to win it. So if you have a question, come off mute and ask it because someone else may have that question.
Hey,
As far
I'm
as,
the one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm the one that emailed you. So I'm not in a classroom. So am I just picking a grade level to look at?
That's when you get with your mentor and you sit down and you say, hey, I need this, or your school test coordinator. Yes, you're not in a, that's why, yeah, if you're not teaching a tested subject area, you need to work with your mentor to figure out what data is available to you. All right, I did hear Eleanor. Eleanor.
Yes. Yes. So the data that we're looking at, we didn't get our funds allocated till a little bit later this year, so I don't have any data for this year. And then our district coordinator wouldn't give permissions to get the data for like iReady or Mastery Connect last year. I know you're
I'm
I know.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
I
gonna fix
know.
my bad.
And if I can get because the district test coordinator now, the curriculum director is one of my people that I'm going to go to. If he can
Mhm.
get that, that's fine. But if not, can I use the state test data from the last 2 years, or does it have to be a benchmark?
It can be state test data, but it can't be 2 years old. That's the thing. We need current data. And here's
So
the
I
thing,
can't
guys, the
use.
data they sent us for
I I know.
yeah.
So it can't be last year's data and the
It
data
could be.
before.
Let me think. We're in what do we have? We have 2025 data. So if you use 2024's data, I would not be punitive around that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is just a precautionary measure.
I understand. I understand. I've never understood why schools and or districts are so tight with data. I think as a district, we all lift each other up. So I want to know who's doing the best on the standard in my school so I can send some teachers over. Like, look, we're struggling. We're on the struggle bus. Can you help us? Like, that should be the conversation. Any other questions around the data?
Um, I have one. I am a tested area teacher.
Mhm.
So can I use my classroom data or do I need to get for the whole school? Like if I teach eighth grade math, do I need all of the students in eighth grade or just can I use my roster?
So I'm gonna give you this answer that you may not like, but I'm gonna give it to you. It's best to use the eighth grade as a whole data because then you get a bigger viewpoint. I want you to think about why you're in this class, is to be over people, to lead people, right? Not over them, but to lead, work alongside. And so when you analyze data from a leadership perspective, you start at the top level, all of it, and then you trickle down to the classrooms. So I would say that would be the best, but if you cannot get that, I will take your class level.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm. Y'all,
And
I don't want this to be painful. I really don't. All
Dr.
right.
Cockrell,
Yes, ma'am.
hi, I'm Jeray, and I'm also a tested area teacher as well. I'm a biology, one tested area teacher. So you want the entire, well, all tested area data. Am I correct? Am I hearing this correct? Because I
So
do
for
hear
for biology, if you're the only biology teacher,
I'm
then
the only biology teacher.
well, then you have all your data.
So
If
no,
you
what
teach
I was
that
asking,
section
did
four
I need to
times,
bring in, did I need to also get access to algebra one
you're
English?
taking you're taking one data set. Biology one is one data set.
Okay.
Hmm.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am a case manager for exceptional education, 9th to 12th grade. If I was to use the data for let's say ninth grade,
Hmm.
um, can I just use exceptional ed data, or do I need to get the whole ninth grade as a whole?
So when you start talking about ninth grade, you're now talking about subject area tests. So you
Right.
got to pick a subject area, and then yes, you would need to get that data because let's just be honest, Selena, the data for just exceptional ed does not paint a clear picture for that subject area.
Okay.
You want a clear picture, so it would include all students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? We'll move on.
I have a
Hey,
question.
oh,
My camera is not working this morning. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I also do inclusion 10th grade and I do English 2 and go into biology 1. Do I just pick whichever area I want to look in and compare it to the general ed kids as well?
So you're not going to compare it to general ed. When you pull, just say if you pull the Algebra 2 assessment, English 2, I'm sorry. English 2 assessment, you're going to pull English 2 for 9th grade. 10th grade, that's 10th grade. Yeah. English 2 for 10th grade. You'll pull that whole data set and you'll analyze it. You're not going to pull out your kids or, specify this group over this group. You just pull all that data.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Cockrell, I had a question. My district is awesome about data. I'm gonna praise them for just a second, and everything's accessible for us. So I was pulling it up real quick while we were talking just to make sure I had something that looked just like this. On ours, it's not listed by student, it's listed by teacher and their class period, and then the rest looks just like this. It has the standards at the top.
Mhm.
Is that, and this last one that we have is from benchmark 3 from April of last year. Is that okay? Of 2025 still?
Mhm.
Perfect.
That's
Thank
fine. Yes. Jamili, I'm gonna say it wrong. Miss Pepper.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my voice. I'm ready for the school. We want to pick a certain grade or the school?
You're gonna need to pick a certain grade because that's the only way to
I wanted to
analyze it. Because you'll need to know how third grade's doing on 3.1, how fifth grade's
Okay.
doing on 3.1. You'll be all over the place if you don't pick a specific area of concern. I mean, grade area rather.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully your voice will come back. I'm praying mine doesn't leave. I have a whole trio of teachers who can't talk. And I'm like, y'all got me sick.
Okay,
All
Dr. Parker, I promise you, right now, this is maybe my last question.
Maybe.
But
Okay.
can we have the option of working with someone? Because I understand that other person, I can't remember who she was, my other co-teacher. Um, I'm willing to share if that's okay, my data, because I have a
No,
plethora of it.
no.
So,
The
okay,
way it has been redesigned, you cannot do that. Everyone has to do it independently. And the whole purpose of that is to get you talking with your mentors, to get you walking into an office and say, hey, this is the class I'm in, this is the work I have to do, and this is what I need. What we figured out is by the time y'all or students are into the practicum, they haven't even met with their mentors yet. So we are pushing things back a little bit earlier on so we can get in with our mentors a wee bit earlier and start actually having that dialogue. Alrighty, I appreciate you for offering that up though. That's very kind. Alrighty, guys, I'm gonna start into the second part of, well, this may be the second part, yeah. And let me check to make sure I have the right slides up. Nope, it didn't. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay. So this is the teaching part of this class. And it is all around domains 1 and 2, just to give you guys a little glimpse into what they are and what they mean. All right, whole PowerPoint just for y'all. So I'm gonna go back to what I said, and I say it often. You'll get tired of hearing me say it. I'm like a broken record. If you don't have this book, please get this book. You're gonna need this book. Okay. Because everything that I am going to talk to you about came straight from this book. Um, Roles of the Principal is one of those textbooks that even after you've been doing this job a while, you'll go back to it and be like, ooh, how can I break that down for people to understand? And the book will help you. So I'm just going to go through the different slides. If you have a question, because I can't really see y'all now because of the way I have my screen set up, come off mute, just interrupt me. I'm not going to think you're rude, I promise. Just stop me so you can ask your question. But just so that you know, the PSEL standards are something you're going to focus in as you go through this course or through this degree program. And this whole thing around Marzano and Carbo is just designed to help school leaders improve their practice. We always talk about growth with kids, but as leaders, we have to continue to grow. You want to grow, you wouldn't be in school if you didn't. And school improvement is how we grow, right? Long, long time ago, the role of a principals was management of the facilities. All of that now has literally shifted, and now we're instructional and organizational managers or leaders. So you have to be able to understand the instructional standpoint of running a school, but you also have to understand that it is an organization. It's organized in a specific way with systems in place to support the school as a whole, but also support you as the leader. It also guides your professional practice, and it helps you become a person who self-assess and approve and improve. Y'all, I can't talk today. Key objectives of the model, just going back to, things that we've already kind of talked about, finding that balance and synergy between instructional and organizational leadership. And then, keeping an eye or a focus on the importance of supporting diversity, inclusiveness, and then equal opportunity for every student in the building. And this process over the course of this semester, you're going to have a clear definition of your role as a school leader as you focus in on each of the 6 domains. It's going to give you a clear focus on what core values are, and then it's going to give you the support to help you understand how to have a caring and collaborative culture where all stakeholders embrace a growth mindset. And it'll also keep you focused on results, because if we're not results oriented, we will not be successful. Now, as we think about instructional and organizational leadership, you have to understand that it is a balance. Some days, however, you're going to spend a lot of time in the organizational part. Other days, you're going to spend a lot of time in the instructional leadership. On Thursdays for Dr. Cockrell, it's all instructional. It's my PLC day. I'm with the teachers all day long. So every Thursday, I know it's instructionally focused. And everyone else that helps in any kind of administrative capacity, they know like this is what we're doing. So you're going to have a deep involvement with teaching and learning. You're going to have a deep understanding and that commitment to interconnected areas of instruction, curriculum, and assessment. And all of this is just to optimize student learning. You're going to, as a leader, identify effective instructional practices. And as a leader, and this is where you have to be in those classrooms, you have to spend time in classrooms observing and also giving feedback. As a leader, your job is to give that critical feedback. Now, as an organizational leader, you got to organize and operate all aspects of your school. That's understanding what your culture is. What is the climate in your building? Do everyone in your building feel safe? How is the budget being spent? Is it in a place where we're operating that budget, where we're putting things in place that's helping all students? So the 6 domains that we're going to look at is going to be a data-driven focus on school improvement. That's why this data project is so important. Instruction of a viable and guaranteed curriculum. All things now is around the HQIM, making sure every kid has high quality instructional materials. Domain 3, your continuous development of teachers and staff. If you're not developing your teachers and your staff, your building is not going to be successful. And then the community of care and collaboration. How are you providing professional development? Not sorry. How are you providing support to your teachers and making sure that they're collaborating and they have the time to collaborate? And then we're going to talk about core values. And I'm going to stop for a minute because I always like to tell emerging leaders one thing. If you don't know what you stand for, you fall for everything. Every shift in your environment will shift you. So I always say at this stage, if you're not in a leadership position, you need a little notebook for journaling, just a little notebook, so that you can draft those things that are of most importance to you and the things that you detest. You know, all leaders have things that we love and hate. As a teacher, I can remember all of my principals, the things I loved about them, and the things that I said, "Oh my gosh, I would never be like that as a principal." And those are the things that sculpt your core values. When people ask me, "Cockrell, what's your core values?" I can tell you in a sentence, I want kids and my staff to feel safe and loved. That's it. At the end of the day, it doesn't start with I want all my kids to be a level 5. I want my school to be an A every year. It starts with my core values of every student, every person who enters Mansdale Upper. I want them to feel like they have a place here. They feel safe when they come in my building, and they feel like they're included. That's the love piece. So I always say that you need to spend time on the beginning parts of this, thinking about what you value. So you're not on the end part of it, figuring it out after you've gotten into a leadership role. Resource management. That's your budget. That's your supplies. That's the technology in your building. That's all the things that have a fixed asset tag to them in your building. You need to know what those things are and how they're being utilized. So, as we think about the 6 domains and how they are so integral in how we do schools, how we do schooling, how we do student growth, these things intertwine. They all go together to mold the school leader. So you just need to know that the behaviors leaders need to demonstrate and emphasize, these domains help that process in your thinking. They are all evidence based and they can help elevate your performance. All right, so let's deep dive into domain 1. And this is a data driven focus on school improvement. It's broken into elements. So element 1 is all about the ensuring that you are appropriately using the data to develop critical goals. And all of your goals have to be focused on student improvement. It has to be about making the growth that you need in your building so that kids are being successful. And you have to be able to analyze that data, interpret it, and then use it to monitor the progress so kids are making growth steps toward their achievement goals. Element 3 ensures the appropriate implementation of interventions and supportive practices. What's the use of data if we don't act on it? So we have to make sure we're using it to put systems in place that help students meet their achievement goals. Now, as a leader, everything you do has to be based on measurable results. It's hard to tell people this goal isn't actionable. This goal isn't measurable. But when we sit in our data meetings and I hear someone say to me, well, this kid's just not is not motivated. Make that actionable to me. How can you create a goal that you can measure that student's motivation? Some people are creative and they come up with things. Some people cannot. So then you have to go back to the drawing board and find a goal that's actionable. And how do we do that? We do that through our comprehensive needs assessments. We strategically prioritize the needs. We identify those critical goals. That's all about element 1 is identification of the critical goals. Then we take the data and we use it to get some data driven decision so we can start moving toward interventions, and that's where element 3 kicks in. And then the leader, let me say that again, the leader monitors the progress. Doesn't matter if you have literacy specialists, math specialists, interventionists, all of these people. Ultimately, you are the leader that monitors the progress to see if all of the things you implement, if they're working. So, the how and the why of data, why do we do what we do? And everyone pretty much kind of got this under control at this point. Is to identify the most critical goals. You have to go through that data all the way down to the individual student level to look for data trends and patterns for individual and groups of students. And you may drill and kill that data and get to a point and say, wow, we missed this. There was a prerequisite to this standard. And we didn't go back to make sure kids knew that prerequisite. I always use math for this one because math is a building block. If a kid is missing a building block, by the time they get to algebra, it's like, uh-oh, what can we go back and kind of plug in because this kid can't do this. As you're disaggregating the data, you are going to form a micro picture of the gaps, those achievement gaps and critical needs within the school population. What we learned after COVID, there were groups of kids who missed key instruction, and we had to fill those data points and teach kids what they needed. You are there to design early interventions and use the data to monitor the response to intervention. Multiple sources of data. I will tell you a report card is like my least form of data. It is, but I was a literacy specialist. And a kid can come in and bomb a test, but that doesn't necessarily mean they don't know the content. They could have had a bad day. So I like multiple sources of data. Appropriate use of this data helps a leader meet a student's academic growth goals and narrow the achievement gaps. That's the goal every day. So, critical school-wide goals has to be based upon the data and it has to be measurable. It cannot be broad statements of improvement. Um, you have to determine the most critical achievement needs for individual student level and then compile a school-wide data set. And you have to determine the who, what, when, where, and how, the factors necessary to determine how the goals will be accomplished. When we start talking about SMART goals, they have to be specific. That's why your first job in analyzing this data is to just be specific. What two areas are of the most concern? And when we get into the part 2 of this data set, is this something we can measure? Is the goal that we set for these kiddos, is it attainable? Is it results oriented? Can I go pick up a piece of evidence and say, yay, we made progress? Or, oh, we got to go back to the drawing board. Do we put a time limit? We're not going to work on RI 3.1 for 180 days. We may work on RI 3.1 for 2 weeks and we may assess. And then if our kids are doing great, then now it becomes a spiral. We're going to spiral back to it to make sure we still have that skill. But we're not going to stay in it for 900 days, 180, because that's how long we have them. All right, guys, for time, we're not going to do the SMART goals activity. We're going to just keep going. So level 1 data analysis means I'm just identifying red flags. How many of my kids are proficient? How many of my kids are not? Level 2, we're moving up a step. We're looking at which students, what specific content, and how much additional instructional time should be provided. We're asking ourselves questions and we're examining strengths and weaknesses. We're looking at students who have failed one or more class. Are they in any intervention programs? Level 3, we'll get there. We got to start looking at root cause. Why are these kids struggling? We've looked at multiple sources of data, and they're all having a problem in this particular area. Then that's a root cause we need to kind of figure out. It could be a lot of different things, so we need to make sure we're looking to find out what it is. As a data team, we need to zero in on what those instructional or curriculum changes need to be. And I'm going to tell y'all the thing that teachers know in my building that I hate. Well, we've taught this lesson. I mean, we've been teaching this lesson and kids have been successful. That's kids from prior years. This group of kids are not successful, and we may not be needing to teach this because it's not helping these kids. Every year you have to assess, what am I teaching? Is it valuable to student learning? And that is always the essential question. I don't like it because it's cute. I don't care because it's engaging. If it is not helping kids learn, then we need to rethink it. And as a leader, you're going to ensure that teachers not only know the critical achievement goals, but they also know how to monitor data. And also that students, they need to know that their kids need to know their goals. It's no help for a teacher to beat her head up against a brick wall when the kid doesn't even know what the target is. Kids need to know. All right, element 3, we're developing interventions and support. Most schools now have interventionists, literacy specialists, or coaches to help in this area. Some schools are not there yet, and you as the classroom teacher are the coach, the interventionist, you're all the things. But interventions should not be generic. They need to be designed for particular students' growth. excuse me, data must be analyzed and aligned to narrow students' individual achievement gaps. We can't do a one fit for all because it doesn't fit all. We have to be very strategic in what we design as interventions. And I always say we got to begin with the end in mind. What is our outcome? What is it we're trying to strive for? And we have to have clear, smart goals designed with specific measures to identify what it is we want to see happen. What is the outcome we want to meet? All right, I'm going to pause right there and see if there are any questions about domain one. I did go fast and furious, but I also know you're going to reread it when you read your textbook. So, any questions about what we've gone through thus far?
I'm sorry, I don't have a question about what we've gone through so far, but is there any way for us to print these first two? I'm gonna pick up the book. I've just been busy all week, and it's hard for me to I have to just take notes and write on things, and it won't let me print it.
The PDF won't let you print it out?
No, ma'am, it's saying I don't have permission to print.
Will it allow you to download it?
Even when I download it, I still won't get my printer option. I've been trying for several days.
Oh, again, I'm not IT. I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Oh, what I did to print the actual like introduction part,
Mhm.
each I when I pulled it up on my computer, I made it where each page would be side by side, like
Okay, yeah.
my computer gave me that option, and then I screenshot each page, and then I went to my screenshots in my files and I printed it out that way.
Okay, thank you.
Because it said we were supposed to have a PIN number to print, like to have permission, but
Okay.
we didn't have that.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, that's all the copyright laws too. And
Yeah, so nobody turned me in, okay? So
we won't turn you in, I promise.
okay.
Yeah. So thank you for that strategy. Anything else? Anyone else?
Is this PowerPoint available for us to download?
It is not.
Can it be available for us to download?
Let me check. I'll let you know.
Also
We
at that
try not
time,
we try not to provide these things directly because not saying anyone will, but they used to be available and people would download them and then just type it up as a pass, like their assignment, and no one actually picked the book up and read it.
I'd just like a couple of the slides.
Okay.
It's hard for me I'm reading, but the way that you've got it broken down in the slide, it's easier for me to refer back and forth to my book
I do
with.
understand, but let me just make sure that that is okay.
Okay.
If it is, I'm fine with sharing. I believe sharing is caring. But I just know some things for us as I'm an adjunct professor, so I answer to someone else. And so I like to just make sure that it's okay before I do things. I am also a rule follower. So I'll check on that and then I'll get back with you. And if it's available, then I will put it in the module. All right, let's jump in. Chapter 2, Domain 2, Instruction of a Viable and Guaranteed Curriculum. I really think that should
Cockrell,
be. Yes, ma'am.
can I just confirm? So, domain one is just about collecting the data and getting that team together and just kind of getting organized. Is that basically, in a nutshell,
Are you
what
asking?
domain means?
Domain 1 is way
Yes.
more intense than that comment. It is way
Okay.
more intense. And once you get in, that what you're getting in the PowerPoint is like me summarizing, right? Taking the big highlights. But when you really deep dive into domain one, I got papers everywhere. It is so much, y'all. I love this book, you can tell. But it is so much about it. And it breaks down like how to sort data and how to apply it and how to go into a room with other educators and talk through data. It has scenarios in here about different things to do in element one, and it's just really, really good information. If you are a new leader going into a building and you're like, I can understand data, I know how to analyze it, but how do I teach my people? Because y'all, the reality is in college courses, undergraduate degrees, they touch it, but they don't go deep in it. And some of the college professors don't even know map data because it's so new from when they started in the profession. And then you get people who go through masters of teaching programs. So they didn't go through like an elementary or a secondary ed program. So you literally, as the leader of the building, you're that person for them. You have to sit down with them and explain what just basic things of what do the standards mean, how to break down a standard before we even get to the data to analyze that standard in its entirety. Um, so I would tell you to read that chapter on domain one, especially if you're not a content area teacher where you're having to do this. It's great information. And I know I'm a nerd. I do know that. Again, I have adult children. They tell me all the time. So I do get a little excited about it. Alrighty.
Well,
Anyone else?
yes, Dr. Cockrell. I guess the domains, just reading the first 16 pages is
Mm-hmm.
kind of confusing to me. It just appears to be a lot of repetition. Let me say that. I guess maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Probably me. But like with domain one, I noticed that on pages 8 and 9, in particularly domain one that's on page 8, it talks about how this school leader should ensure about data. Now, as a testing teacher, I understand what the data means to me per se, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just talking about how the school leader is ensuring things. So I guess I don't know. What am I looking for in these 2 pages?
Just stay the course. That's what I'm going to
Okay.
say. You know, that's an introduction. All that is giving you an overview, like me. I'm giving you a quick overview. Stay the course. Once you get into page 17 and it really deep dives into the how and the why of the data and the most critical goals, it jumps into a lot of it and it breaks it down a little bit more. And yes, data is redundant. It's going to say a lot of the same things, but it tells you about the analysis more once you get into chapter one. And it may be boring to you. I don't know. I love all of the visible learning things, but when I tell you some of it is just so boring to me. All of Hattie's work, I love Hattie and all of the work that he's done around visible learning, but then I'll read some of his stuff and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to go to sleep. It's just kind of like that. Just stay the course. Okay? Domain
So I
two. Oh, I'm
I have a
sorry.
question. Like I'm in the case, I'm a case manager. And if with doing my work and I get to the point where I need some extra help with reading data because I'm just gonna be for real, that is my weakness. So is it possible that we might can set a time maybe to do Zoom or something with you and you kind of help us out?
Yes, that is possible, but your first line of defense is working with your mentor.
Okay.
But it is possible. If you need that, I am more than willing to do that, not just because of this course, just because it's one of the things that's essential in leadership. So, yeah,
Thank you.
of course. All righty, I'm going to get into this now, if that's okay. And then we'll come off of this and we'll have some more question time at the end. Sorry, y'all. I'm hoping the crud doesn't get me. If it does, I will be at the MEA clinic getting a shot in the morning. Cannot go down with the ship. Let's get into it and let's see where we are. Oh, my computer's freezing. There we go. Alrighty, so domain two breaks down into elements as well. And it talks more about the clear vision for how instruction should be addressed in the school, the knowledge of the instructional practices in the school to improve teaching, and it really drills down into the leader making sure that the curriculum and all the assessments, all things align with the state and your district standards. It also ensures that the curriculum is focused on those essential standards so that it's taught in the time available to teachers. But also the elements get into making sure that each student has an equal opportunity to learn all of the content of the curriculum. And these are just like some things that I pulled that I think is essential. So, essential content to be addressed in specific courses at specific grade levels is the most important thing. We need to know that all kids are getting the content that is designed for their grade level. And I have to say this a lot in PLCs because I hear teachers say to me, well, they're not ready. And most times we're speaking about our EL students or our special education students. We're speaking about our dyslexic students, those subcategories. And they'll say, well, they're not ready for that. Exposure is essential to the learning. I may not be ready to read it on my own, but I can hear and comprehend. So these are things that we get into big debates about sometimes about the curriculum being available to all. And how do we optimize learning for all students? Our expectations for all students the same. And so when we talk about curriculum, we're not talking about the book program. We're not talking about you bought Wit and Wisdom or Amplify or CKLA or whatever great program is out there. We're talking about those standards that are sitting there that says that kids are going to have some Mississippi College and Career Readiness in front of them. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that content is available. The kid may not be able to access it at that level, but is it available and can we scaffold until we are ready to get there? And we also, as leaders, have to make sure that there's time. We got to provide our teachers time to address the essential content in the allocated time for teaching. All those announcements, that's my big one right there. Announcements. Do not turn on announcements in my building during teaching time. Viability of the curriculum. Can it be taught in the instructional time available to teachers? How can the instructional time be maximized? And then we have to spend time shifting our focus from an emphasis of simply covering the content to emphasis on depth of knowledge, the depth of the content. And leaders must make sure that instructional time is protected so teachers can teach the essential content. A guaranteed curriculum, and this comes from Marzano. A guaranteed curriculum may mean that occasionally teachers must give up cherished lessons they've relied on for many years. And we all know the teacher who has a folder system, a file cabinet system, a box system of all their loved, loved, loved lessons. And I would say they're not even standards based. They probably came from Teachers Pay Teacher or some other lovely site where it's so cute and so animated. I always say to teachers, if it's not standards based, why are we talking about it? If you can't say that I'm teaching um, this content, it's an OA standard, it's a RI standard, then don't come talk to me. I can't because if it's something you just love to do, it needs to be in that week before Christmas where we just teach cute things because we're taking our MVPs for the week. It's sometimes that moment in life where I have to be mean principal. But teachers must develop new standards aligned instructional units and lessons, and then they have to identify new resources that they may not have used in the past. We may have to get rid of our loved things. And you as the leader, you play a pivotal role to ensure that alignment is there for planning and teachers to adopt those standards that needs to be taught. When we deep dive into element one, how does a leader provide a clear vision for how instruction should be addressed in the school? So, as the leader, you're going to have to establish what good teaching looks like. You have to be the one to talk about how we're going to get there. You have to implement and support like school-wide common language of instruction. You have to encourage understanding of that common language, common vocabulary. Everybody has to have a common vision. And then you have to be there in the room with your teachers to agree about what's best classroom practices. Element two, the predominant instructional practices to improve teaching. Teachers only improve instructional practices when the leader provides feedback. You as the leader have to provide feedback regarding instructional practices. If you see a teacher that's just not pulling it out and can't figure it out, you have to provide that feedback. And not only feedback, you have to provide what is needed to help that teacher get to where they need to be. How do we do that? You identify the predominant instructional practices in the school and you make all your teachers aware of these practices. The thing that was the biggest aha moment for me when I came out of the role as a teacher and actually went into the role as a literacy specialist was that I got to see other teachers teach. Whereas when I was a classroom teacher, we may have done some walkabouts, as we called them back then, where we walked in and we watched teachers, but never to the intensity that I did it as a lit specialist. So I may think I'm great in my room with my door closed, but I don't see what someone down the hall is doing, and I don't know that there are different strategies to teach something. So, keeping in mind that teachers cannot be isolated from one another. They can't, just teach in isolation anymore. And then you must let teachers get used to frequent in class observations from their peers. And then, as the leader, you got to make your teachers aware of current behavior. After you observe the teacher, you got to give that feedback and letting them know, like, hey, as I sat in your room, just tell me after I left, did the questioning change? Did you start asking more higher order thinking questions? When I left, I saw you were at the front of the building. You did most of the talking. When I left, was there a time for turn and talk? Was there a time for math talk where kids discussed the math that they were doing? You have to ask those. And you have to provide meaningful professional development so that they can change practices that are not actually helping the growth of all. As we get into element 3, we're aligning curriculum to standards. And as the leader, you have to ensure that your curriculum is aligned to the state and district standards. For those of us in Mississippi, we know it's the college and career readiness standards. They must have a solid understanding of the essential standards for their grade level that they're teaching. And you need to have a functioning understanding of the standards for the grade levels that are being taught. You got to determine what does it mean to have rigor. This word has been thrown around so much, but what does rigor mean? This can be done with groups of teachers. It could be done horizontally within your grade level. It could be vertically from third to fifth, or from fifth grade to eighth grade science. What do these kids need? Formative assessments. This is valuable because it tells the teacher we're on track to be successful when we get to our summative. Content teachers and PLCs must continually review all assessments. We need to be looking at our assessments. Are they aligned? Are we teaching these standards the same way? Are we getting to the root of what kids needs to be successful? When we get into element 4, this is ensuring that viability of the curriculum. And I'm going to tell you, as a leader, if you are the department lead for your school and you're leading that ELA department, you as that person need to know what standards are essential. Because what we found out over the course of being educators is some people think these are easier standards, so we just teach those. And then kids do well on DOK 1, they do okay on DOK 2, but when we hit DOK 3, they are bombing. They cannot keep up. So you have to know what's going on in your building. As little as 4 to 6% of class time is devoted to the kinds of complex thinking skills. These kids need to be able to analyze, compare and contrast, make hypotheses, problem solve. That's how we get to the rigorous instruction. And as a leader, you got to be able to examine the data and talk with teachers. You got to know what the non-negotiable standards are. You got to distinguish between the written curriculum, because we know what the written curriculum that we have in our binders, but what is the taught curriculum? What is the teacher in the building teaching? There needs to be clarification on what teachers are teaching and what the agreed upon curriculum is. And teachers have to understand that a textbook is just a resource. The textbook does not drive the curriculum, your standards do. Because I've yet to find a textbook that teaches everything in its entirety. When we get into element 5, we're ensuring opportunity to learn critical content. The essential standards are taught so that all students have an opportunity to learn the essential standards. As a leader, you are going to foster a school culture where teachers have high expectation for all students. All students. That's the part. And this little thing recap here. If Jake needs a reading intervention and the intervention teacher is only available during Jake's math class, then either Jake is going to miss math or the reading intervention. This, guys, is not an option. Because if he misses math, Jake is going to get further behind in math and his reading's going to grow, but we're still in the same situation. Jake is low somewhere. So we need, as a leader, we must begin to clearly set the expectations. And we're always monitoring what teachers are teaching and analysis of student work. We gotta be there in the thick of it. No longer can you sit in your office. You gotta be in the thick of it. Alrighty, we did not do the speed date activity for the sake of, I want to give you guys a little time to ask questions and to recap some things. And again, give you a moment where you can at least find your restroom before you jump on the orientation. I hope that information was at least helpful to you in some form or fashion. I do want to go back. Oh, did I click the wrong thing? To our module for just a moment before I open up questions. I know it's a lot. The first class always seems like a whole bunch of information just kind of blasted at you. But I wanted to go back and look at our module one more time, just so that we are all clear on what it is that we're doing for today. Or if you've already, I see a lot of people have already done majority of this. But when we talk about the video presentation, when we get here, guys, it's an overview, right? I'm going to say what I said before. It's like 44 people in this class, and I actually have to sit and listen to all 44 in order to grade them. And I'm like anybody else that was a great teacher in life. I don't expect you to do something that I'm not going to check. I'm one of those people, I'm going to inspect what I expect. And if this is here, if this is listed, I'm going to listen to each and every last video. So please, 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 I am begging, keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, because once you pass by 5 minutes, I'm going to stop. And if you're at domain 3 at 5 minutes, you've missed domains 4, 5, and 6. I cannot listen to everybody do a 10-minute video. I don't have that many minutes in my life. So these things are there to say no more than 3 to 5 minutes so that I can be present and watch each video. I can critique every video and talk through every video with you. If you're given a 10-minute video I get 5 minutes and 4 seconds. I'm going to be there with you. But when you get into 6, 7, and 8 minutes, I'm not there with you. So if you are at 5 minutes and you just made it to domain 3, I just need you to understand, I don't know what happened in the rest. And I try to be very, very transparent in that, in that part of this assignment. Because last trimester, I had videos that were 15 minutes in length. And if you get 5 of those, that's my evening of grading. So please try your hardest to stick to the time limit. Hold your question for me just a minute. So as we get through the video part of this, you're recording just a quick recap of what you read in the introduction. So you're taking what you read in that introduction and just providing a little bit of a reflection of what your note taking was as you read through that, right? And you're giving, let me get here, you're giving a brief overview of Marzano's domains. And the reason it's a brief overview is because going forward, you're going to really analyze domains 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5, 6. So for this particular assignment, it's just an overview. I read about these domains, and domain 1 taught me this, domain 2 taught me this, domain 3 taught me this, and you're just going through that. Now, I want you to keep in mind that it's brief, but also I want you to keep in mind that you're going to be speaking in third person. So you're not going to use like I, me, my, all of those things. You're going to speak from a place of a school leader if you were typing this as a paper. So as a school leader, domain one focuses on a data driven environment where the leader is aware of the data. And I'm just kind of spitballing this, so it may not make sense. But keeping in mind, every assignment has a rubric, right? So before you even start, I would say look at the rubric. Look at the rubric. The rubric will tell you what you need to do. And then once we get to the ending of this, you have to provide a concluding statement. And I will tell you in last trimester, this is what most people miss points on. It was this concluding statement. Was it new information and did you find it interesting? And how will this information help prepare you as a school leader, a future leader? And can be spoken in first person. I found that this information was very new to me, but it was also interesting. I never read about the 6 domains. How is this new information? As a leader, I will use this information to guide my school. That's one statement. And people missed 15 points because of one statement. So please make sure you do those things. Now, the last part of this, when you get ready to record yourself, most of you've already done this. You go here to record. And that's where it pops up. You click the start recording and you record what you're going to say to the class or whomever. Once you're done with your video, it's all finished, you hit finish. And then it is there. I'm going to save it. And then I can submit it. I click submit and it is there ready for me ready for me to grade it. Right? And that is the extent of what that is for. And now, leave page, please. Now, that's what that assignment entails. Your Dropbox for the discussion, this one is pretty easy to do. You're just going to answer these 3 questions and then you're going to reply or comment on 2 other students' posts. So I have to read 2 other people's posts in order to comment about what they said. And that's why it's called getting to know the class. You get partial points if you answer these 3 and don't comment on 2. So just make sure you're reading the directions in their entirety so that you are doing the whole thing to get all of your points. Again, I am not a punitive professor because I know y'all have other lives. Y'all are in buildings, teaching, leading, doing whatever your job qualifications entail. You're also parents, you're also coaches, you're doing a lot. What I will caution you on is getting behind. Once you feel like you can't get to something on a Sunday, you will drown until you catch up. It literally is keeping your head above water, right? And if you know Saturdays are full for you, you might want to pick a day through the week that you can do your assignments. And if you're in multiple classes, I promise you, getting behind hurts the worst. One other thing I need to share with you, if you miss a virtual class, it's considered an absence. If you email and say, hey, I have this going on, I'm gonna miss this class, it's still an absence. I understand, thank you for telling me, but it's still an absence, right? There is no excused absences in graduate school. Unless you are at drill. If you have drill duty or you are off fighting a war of some kind, hey, you're excused, right? If you are having a baby, and I hate saying this because I've had 3 of them, it is still not an excused absence. If your wife is having a baby, it's still not an excused absence. I'm sorry, right? Y'all, it is considered an absence. And in the grading portal of the Canvas module, attendance does count. I do not know the formula they use, so please don't ask me how heavy it's weighted. I don't know, but I do know it is counted. If you turn an assignment in late, I go in, you get a 0 on that Monday when I check to see if your assignment is in. Yes, it is a placeholder for me, but it also reminds you I have a 0. I need to put that in so I don't have a 0, right? Like high school. Um, Once you submit that assignment, I then go in attendance and I change it from absent to late. That is weighted differently than not turning it in, but it does hit your attendance. So these are things that I like to share with you. I'm very transparent, so you know where your grade comes from. I'm going to grade your assignments using the rubric. If you have questions about a grade, look at your document you turned in. I leave comments on your document. I highlight in your document and I put a little comment. This in-text citation is incorrect. This sentence is, I don't know what you're talking about. I have put that there before because I just don't understand. I am very, like I tell people all the time, I want you to have the feedback because I want you not to make that mistake going forward. But I also am going to ask for a little grace. It is 45 of y'all. I may not have your paper graded Monday. Let's just be honest. I won't have your paper graded by Monday. Right? If it's turned in Sunday, I typically get up on Saturday mornings like I'm going to Mansdale Upper, and I sit and I grade on Saturday mornings, right? If I can get through 45, I get through 45. If I get through 35, I get through 35. And then I pick back up on Monday and I grade again. I do not typically do a lot of grading on Sunday, just because I believe in family time. I'm just being honest with y'all. Work-life balance is a big deal in my world because Mansdale Upper has eroded my life. And so I'm trying to figure out some balance. I try hard to not, let me say it this way. If I grade something one time and you have, and I'll use in-text citation, is an issue, and I have not given that grade back to you, I'm not going to count it off when I see it the second time because you didn't get a chance to see it before you turned in the second one, right? But if I've marked it and you've had a chance to see it and you keep making the same mistakes, it will be points deducted. Does that make sense? So read the comments in the margins because again, I'm very scripted in there so that you know what you need to correct. Most times, y'all, everyone's papers have been great. Everyone's documents are, I mean, like on point. If you see in the comment section of your when I grade it, your turn it in score is too high, or please check your turn it in score. It's because it's in the red. You're at like 40%. That's plagiarism level. Check it. Next time you turn that in, you need to make sure you're paraphrasing more, taking that language and making it more your own, right? Your in-text citations. Don't use a lot of direct quotes. Take it and paraphrase it. At the end of every paragraph, you need to give credit to Carbo and Marzano 2018. I'm telling you what that looks like. Some of y'all got that, some of y'all didn't. That's what goes at the end. If you're using a direct quote, it has to say Carbo Marzano, page this, 2018. That's a direct quote if I'm using it. Don't need a page number if it's not a direct quote, right? These are things that points get deducted for because APA format is foreign to a lot of people. Now, as it pertains to your writing, read over it. Let me say that again. Read over it. If you haven't written a paper in 10 years, ask somebody who's been to school recently to read over it. It should not sound the way you talk to people, right? It should be graduate level language. I should not be part of it. And when I say I mean the pronoun. Graduate level work is in third person. It is not going to be from a personal standpoint. When you get to the paragraph that gives the reflection, then that's where you go into your personal thoughts about it. And most of us have read articles and done article critiques When you do an article critique, you don't talk about you talk about the article. So that's where you are, right? And I'm telling y'all all of this because these are things that in the week to week videos I upload, I'm gonna be talking about. Guys, as a whole, your work was great. Here are some things we need to improve on. It may not be you particular, but what I do is I jot down what the overarching issues are in that particular assignment to give updates for the following assignment. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I went over that and that. Anything else I'm thinking? Nope, that's all I think I have for y'all. All right, now we have minutes left because I wanted some minutes left. If you have any questions for me, this is when you take yourself off of mute and ask them. I'm here.
Yes. I had a question about the video. Whenever I had created the video, I did it within the it said 5 to 7 minutes, but now it's saying 3 to 5 minutes. So I think my video was actually like 5 minutes and 46 seconds, but I
That's
can redo it. Okay.
Don't redo it. That's fine. When I talk about those, I'm really referring to people who literally sit on there and they're there for about 10 minutes. And I'm not, and I'm really and truly, guys, I promise you, I'm a nice human. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's a lot of videos to watch, and I like to give them the time that they deserve. And when they're that long, I can't. Any other questions? It's a quiet group, quiet group. That just means y'all are all gonna email me later. I'm used to this. No other questions? Well, if you are a person who has a question but need to ask it in private, I will not end the call, but I will let the people who are all done with me and have no burning questions and feel like they're successful with this go on, and you may leave the room. Have a great Saturday, Sunday, and I'm wishing y'all good luck next week. Stay well.
Dr. Cockle.
Yep.
For the video, I know it says don't read a script, but can we have notes?
When it says don't read a script, your eyes should not be focused on a sheet of paper.
Okay.
You know how you give a presentation, you look up, it should have some of that flow to it where you know what you're going to talk about, but to tell you to memorize something, I couldn't do it, so I don't expect that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we look down and then look back up, that would not be like if we're looking down just to kind of like regain our thoughts.
It will not bother me.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, I know. It's hard to think through all of that, and you'll have to do like 10 retakes. I get
Right.
it. So having a little note card or something that you're going through, it does not. It's
Okay.
not going to hinder anything.
Thank you.
I think what I did, I'm sorry, I think what I did was kind of look up just to kind of engage because I taught with my hands and my eyes.
Me
So
too.
I think that's what I was doing, but that will be okay, right?
That is fine. Do not overanalyze my comments. Please don't. Again, not punitive. If you got on there and you did what you needed to do, and you're not constantly like, you can tell when someone's reading a piece of paper and they never da 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 da. You can see that as opposed to I'm looking, I'm down, and then you can tell. So that'll be fine. You don't have a teleprompter to keep looking at. I get it. I get it. Not punitive.
Dr. Cockrell.
Yes, ma'am.
It's Jenny Curtis. I just wanted to say I'm sorry that my video was not working. I did join by my phone and was on still the original on the computer. So I hope I can get this resolved before the second or for the orientation, but I do apologize. I was in the Zoom meeting ready at 9:45 and it did not give me any indication that I was not, or excuse me, 7:45, that I was not going to have my video. So I'm going to see what's going on with this Chromebook.
All righty. I'll tell you, a lot of times it's just connection. I don't understand. This MacBook is so finicky. I literally have to restart, like turn it off, restart it because it's just lagging. I don't know. But we
Yes,
love
ma'am.
technology. We love
Yes, ma'am, we do. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.
And so my question is, Dr. Cockrell, for the assignment, all we're doing is just summarizing the domains,
The introduction.
the
You read
introduction.
those, that's it. And just an overview of what that introduction told you about.
Okay, so Dr. Cockrell, I'm
Yeah.
looking here and I see that I'm on the rubric as well. And I was trying to follow along as you were speaking. So the 15 points for the brief overview of each of the 6 domains is given. I'm just telling what they are, correct?
That's it.
All right, good deal. Because I'm very this is my first time ever turning in a video assignment. So, and I always think I look weird on camera. I speak weird on camera and all that. So I'm trying to make sure I had this because this is the last assignment and I actually am in 2 courses and all my other work is done. This is the only one that's like, I am nervous. But it's good to know you're not all finicky about it. But I just want to make sure, I do well.
It's going to be great.
All righty. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hello, Dr. Cockrell. I'm Joanna Thompson, and I'm just a little nervous. I am a kindergarten teacher, and listening to you talk about 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, I can kind of relate a little with 3rd grade, but being kindergarten, it seems like I'm in a whole different world. But I'm just letting you know, I'm gonna really give it my all, and I have a pretty good mentor, but I'm just saying I'm a little bit nervous. So if I say something wrong or do something that
Do not stress about it. My whole career was K2. I had a short stint in 3rd grade. And when I got placed in a 3-5 only building, so I lost all my K2 peeps, I was like, I gave MCT 1 to 2nd grade, but you know how long ago that was? I promise you, kids are kids. Teaching and learning is teaching and learning. I can go in a Spanish classroom and observe a teacher at this point because good instruction, you look at kids, they're engaged. You look at the teacher, she's prepared. You got it. I promise you. It is not as what you're thinking. Get with your mentor. Your mentor is going to have to be your bestie because you're going to need a seat in rooms where you, as a kindergarten teacher, you normally don't have to go.
Right.
But you need to be in those data meetings. If y'all do iReady, you need to sit down and say, hey, help me figure out what my kindergarten data is stating. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and start opening the door for those kind of conversations.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a
They
good
don't
weekend.
care on a district level that you only taught kindergarten, but they
I
care
know.
if you know how to analyze the data, you know how to have conversations around it, and you know how to give feedback to teachers about it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Yes, ma'am. You too. I see people. I don't hear questions.
I'm just here to see if anybody's asking a question that I might have missed.
Okay.
Well, I'll go. That's the same thing I was really on here for, just to make sure, nobody asked anything. But I do have a question. So me, this will be I won't say my first time, but now I'm in the well, I'm not in the classroom. When I first started out, I started out in the classroom. Um, I am a physical education teacher, so I'm not in the classroom anymore. So this will kind of all be kind of new to me. When I was thrown into 7th and 8th grade science a couple years back, which I had no clue about science or data or anything like that. So when I was doing the little bit of data that I did do, I kind of have a familiar, I kind of remember a little bit about it, but my main question is my mentor, is that going to be the same person I get my data and stuff from, or are we just looking to have a certain person for a mentor and you getting your data through somewhere else?
If your if your mentor has access to the data, then yes, use that person. But your
Okay.
mentor may have to send you to someone else to get it
Someone.
if they don't
Okay.
access. But that person can serve in either capacity, so it's not rigid in that manner.
Okay, so that was my biggest thing. Like the mentor is not supposed to be or have to be anyone like your principal or your assistant principal. It can
Now,
be
when you do orientation, hold that question because Dr. Sellers will hit on that. And
okay.
I'm not 100% sure because again, we're doing things totally different because we went to semesters this year.
Right.
So, ask her if she doesn't address it, but I do believe she will address it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, Megan, do you have a question? All righty. Well, I'm gonna let y'all have a good day then.
You have a good day.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Okay.